Okay, hello, good evening. Okay, yes, Renee, hello. Happy Monday. All right, welcome back to our August week 3. All right, this is the week 3 of August. Okay, hello. Wait, there's only you, huh? Okay, let's see if the others will come in. All right, where were we? I think we stopped around chapter 8 here. Okay, our rocks here. Okay, I think we finished this already, and we finished our soil. Okay, mineral and soil. Okay, this mineral part we have our ore and gemstone. Okay, and of course we have our soil. Okay, and of course your properties of soil, we have finished this also. All right. So oh yeah, let us finish this exercise first. Okay, before we move on, we might go to a new chapter today. Okay, because this chapter 7 is it chapter 7? Is it chapter 7? Chapter 8 is nothing much to say already. Okay, we are almost done here. Okay, so anyway, let's go to our question 9, question 8. I think we stopped here last week. Okay, so let us finish discussing this. Okay, so 8. 8A, what type of rock is formed when liquid rock cools? All right, liquid rock is your magma. Okay, magma. When magma they cool down, you get your igneous rock. Okay, like I said, igneous is ignite. Okay, 着火. Lava magma is 着火. So this is the youngest rock. Okay, your baby rock. And when they are weathered, okay, 风化, when they are washed down by rain, they will become sedimentary. Okay, and then after millions of years of pressing down, then you will get metamorphic. This is your grandpa. Okay, so this is baby, this is papa, this is grandpa. So liquid rock is the youngest one. All right, so B, underline two examples of this rock. That would be your granite and basalt. All right, sandstone and limestone is sedimentary. Marble is metamorphic. So marble is very rare and very hard to come by. Okay, and they are very old. Okay, marble is very old. Okay, so number 9, put these sentences in order to describe how sedimentary rocks are made. Number the sentences from 1 to 6. All right, so sedimentary, that's your papa rock. Okay. Okay, so number 1 would be this. Okay, rocks get worn down to make very small particles called sediment. So that means they are washed down. Okay, this is called weathering. Okay, weathering 风化就是把石头洗成沙，那个沙就叫沉淀物 sediment， 就会洗去 river 那边。Okay, to be washed to river. Then sediment they lay down at the bottom of lakes and sea. Okay, so they settle down, 沉淀. And then layers of sediment build up on top of each other, layer by layer by layer, they build up. Very slow process. Okay, this will take hundreds of thousands of years. Okay, and then the pressure will squeeze the water out of the sediment. Okay, because of the pressure, the water will be gone, and then the layers after pressing, they will become rock. So it's 1 to 5, no 1 to 6. Okay, so it's 1 to 5. Okay, so they press, they will become rock. They will become a layered rock. It's like your layered cake. You know your kueh. Kueh got layer one, right? So same like this. So they are layer by layer, built up layer by layer. So you get a rock. Okay, so number 10. Okay, number 10A. Some igneous rocks are formed on the Earth's surface. What kind of feature on the Earth's surface is often involved in this? Underline the correct answer. So igneous rock would be your volcano. Okay, river is sedimentary. Mountain and cliff, these two, they can be sedimentary. They can also be metamorphic. It depends on the age of mountain lah. Malaysia, we mostly have sedimentary and metamorphic because Malaysia is very old. Malaysia, we got no volcano, so we don't see any igneous here. Okay, Malaysia is a very old. I mean, we have volcano, but it's dead volcano lah. It's like thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago, really, really long time ago. So B, circle the correct words in order to complete the sentence. Okay, so igneous rock cool quickly above ground. Okay, because above ground is cool. Okay, and then they cool slowly underground. That's why they will form different rock. Basalt is an igneous rock with small crystal. It cools. Wait, I think basalt I forgot already. I think basalt is underground. Let me check. Basalt. Yeah, there. Basalt is extrusive. Okay, Earth surface. Granite is intrusive. This is below underground. Okay, so this is above ground. All right, not too important lah. This above ground, underground. Okay, very rare in exam. So 11, slate is a metamorphic rock formed over long periods of time. Apart from time, state 2 condition. Like I said, it's always that two. You need pressure and you need heat. Pressure from the top, heat from the bottom. Because rock is in the middle, right? You have lava at the bottom heating it. And then you have stones at the top pressing it, soil at the top pressing it. So heat and pressure, so they will become rocks. Okay, so next, B, look at the diagram below. A, B, C are labeled, which is likely to be slate. So your slate must be your C, because they're at the most bottom. So this, the top is the youngest. The lower you go, the older they are. All right, because it makes sense, right? Layer by layer by layer. So the older layer will be pushed down. So the more bottom it is, the older it is. So C, apart from slate, give one example of metamorphic rock. Okay, 除了 slate, what else do you have? You have marble. All right, remember 2 examples for each rock. 每个记2个. Okay, so igneous you have granite and basalt or obsidian. And then sedimentary, you have limestone, sandstone, all the stone. Okay, and then metamorphic, you have your slate and marble. Okay, so number 12. Okay, so what happens here? By day, they have water here. By night, it becomes ice. So freezing and melting, freezing and melting. So at the end, they will break. So this is what we call physical weathering. Okay, 物理风化. Okay, because the water expand, they crack the rock. This is a physical process because there's no chemical here. All right, and then this one is by using root. They will break the rock through. Okay, when a seed falls into a rock, when they germinate, it will break the rock. Okay, 植物发芽把石头弄成一半. So this is your physical weathering. So based on figure 1, describe how changing temperature impacts on rock. So how does this impact? Okay, so at low temperature, ice, what you can say water freezes. Okay, water freezes into ice, so it expands. Okay, the thing expands, and then at high temperature, your water, or you can say your ice, melts. So this thing will contract. All right, so contract, relax, contract, relax, contract, relax. This thing will just crack. And then now you have 2 rocks, okay, 2 smaller rocks, okay, they crack into half. All right, of course, this doesn't happen just in one night lah. It is many times of expanding, contracting for like thousands of times only they will crack. So like I say, everything in your rock, everything about weathering and all these rock things, they are really slow. Okay, 所谓的 滴水穿石就是那个概念，非常非常的慢，给你需要很长时间的。Okay, so B, figure 2 is an example of biological weathering. Okay, biological is physical weathering lah. Animals and plants break up rocks in many ways. Describe how plants break up rocks. Okay, so you can say seed. Oh, sorry, my pen is running out of battery. Okay, so seed falls into a gap in a rock. Okay, so it falls into a gap, and then when the seed they germinate, so seed germinates. Okay, so it will crack the rock. Okay, 就是那个种子发芽把石头合成一半咯。Okay, of course this is very slow. Okay, very rare this will happen. Okay, but it does happen. So C, after sediments stop moving away from the original rock, they settle in layers, and this process is called deposition. Deposition 就是压咯。Then the sediments form new rocks by two processes, which is this one I also forgot already. Because it's not in the syllabus, I guess. The two processes I think is over here. Are there compaction and cementation? These two. Not important. Okay, not really important. You want you can write lah. Okay, compaction and cementation. Compact 就是压在一起咯。Okay, cementation 就是粘在一起。Okay, compaction is physical 把它压在一起。Okay, 把它 compact 嘛。Cementation 是 chemical 把它粘在一起。Okay, as in chemically they combine together. So that's your compaction and cementation. Okay, if you don't want to learn this, it's okay because this is not really in your syllabus. Just look at it for fun lah. So next, this is a metamorphic rock. So how are metamorphic rocks formed? Alright, so they are actually formed from your igneous or sedimentary. Okay, baby 或是爸爸变成的 under many years of pressure. It's the same process, pressure and heat. 石头一定要这两个东西 form 的 ，always pressure and heat， 没有这两个是不会有 stone 的，不会有 rocks 的。Alright, so state one characteristic of metamorphic rock. They are very dense. Okay, 因为它们压了在一起，所以它们很 dense 咯。Okay, very dense， 就是很密的意思。它们腻在一起，压在一起压了很久 ，so they're very dense. Alright, take two more examples of metamorphic rock. Okay, you know this already lah, ha. So 你有 slate， 怎么只有 slate 这里？这三个是 sedimentary 来的哦。Why is it here though? Okay, so 这个应该是一个罢了啦。Okay, only a slate 啊。这种 stone 的东西全部都是sedimentary 来的。Okay, anyway, so that's it for our chapter 8. Oh yeah, before I move on你的 chapter 8后面there's actually a small part here. So the age of Earth 这个我讲就好。OK， 我跟你随便带过就好哈，因为这个考试不会出的，因为这个东西它太复杂了，太难问了，所以你看看就好。OK，so 这个是什么鬼东西呢？ So 我们来看 age of Earth 这个 basically 就是在跟你讲我们的地球有几岁，因为我们的地球有几岁 ，so 我们的地球呢 is roughly around 4.5 billion years old. OK, 4.5 billion. So 4.5 billion 是什么概念嘞？就是 around 4 million. OK, million 的意思就是 billion 啦。OK, so that's quite a long time. 因为 for comparison 我们 humans only start to exist around 1,000,000 years ago. A million years ago, that means less than 1% 啊，所以是很后面我们 human 才 exist 的。Okay, so we still have no idea how Earth is formed because nobody was there. Okay, 没有人看到 Earth 是怎样来的嘛。So 这些很多东西都是怎么样讲呢？ It's a hypothesis. Okay, it's a guess. Okay, 他们 scientists 在 guess. So how did it happen? Alright, so as we have learned in the previous chapter, the Earth consists of 3 main layers. Okay, so 之前我们 chapter 8后面就讲到了 the crust, the mantle, and the core. 就是这里，哎 crust, mantle 还有 core。好，所以我们的 Earth 有3层咯 ，3 layers 咯。So the mantle is molten. 我们的 mantle 就是中间那层了。OK, mantle OK 这样子想啦哈。crust 你知道月饼哦，月饼哦 crust 就是那个皮 ，OK the skin of the mooncake, and then mantle is the ham of the mooncake, OK the 莲蓉 or whatever 啦。And then core 就是那个 egg yolk, okay that's the egg yolk. So mantle that means the ham the 豆沙 or the 莲蓉okay the thing is actually molten. Molten 就是 something like liquid 啦 right and it flows, okay the thing will flow. 你的 magma 是会 flow 的，因为 molten 里面 mantle 里面是 magma， 所以这个 mantle 会 flow, okay causing the plate above to move. Okay, so 这个 concept 呢，我之前讲过了 this is called the tectonic plate. Okay, this part is called the tectonic plate. There, okay, the plate tectonic. 那什么是 plate tectonic 呢？from the geologist 这个是 geology 来的。OK， 什么是 geology 呢？ Geology 就是 basically you learn about you know Earth。OK， so 这个 geology 他们讲哦，我们的 Earth 哦 ，there's like 20 plates there. I think it's 20. 这个叫做 plate tectonic. Plate tectonics 什么意思呢？ What does it mean 呢？That means our Earth is divided into like 20 main plates. Is it 20? I don't know. Is it 20? Is it 20 plates? Okay 啦 whatever 啦，多少个 plate 我不知道啦But this is how the plate looks like. Okay, so 以前这些 plate when the Earth is formed they are not arranged this way one. But throughout years they start to move because when bottom there's liquid moving the top part will move 啦。OK， 就好像你想象现在你拿一个 pool of water， 你放纸张所以你在舀你的水那个水在动嘛，上面的纸也会跟着动的。Right, 所以这个就是 what they believe in So this is what the plate tectonic. OK， 这个就是 plate tectonic. And of course, 这个东西 move 了多少没有人懂。But what we know is 这个 plate tectonic 它一开始动的时候，你就会有 earthquake. This is how earthquake happens. Right? If you are staying on that line, when two plates they touch together, the line is called a fault line. Okay, if you stay on there, if your country is on the fault line, then you are very unlucky because you get earthquake like all the time. For example, if you stay in like Japan, okay, so 日本就是一条 fault line, 他们就是在那个 fault line 上面。Okay, so we used to be like this actually. 你自己看我们的Africa, India, Antarctica, Australia, South America 是在这边。That's why there's a saying that goes I don't know whether you heard this before. 他们讲咧 humans are all come from Africa. We used to come from Africa. Okay, 你就讲Africa is not connected to us, so how do they come here? I mean, it's very far from us. How do we come from Africa? Because we used to, stick together. Okay, so 人类就开始动咯 we just start to move, and then when this plate tectonic they start to move then we go to different place already. Then we evolve to become different human. Okay, that's why if you look at an African and you look at you yourself, you guys look very different, isn't it? They have very dark skin. Okay, even their features look very different from us. Okay, we Chinese, we just kind of look the same way. Okay, but Africans, they just look very different. Okay, so this is what they believe in. So a German scientist called Alfred Wagner suggests that millions of years ago the land was one large continent. Okay, 他以前相信全部是连在一起的。Over millions of years, the land broke up and drifted apart. This is called continental drift. Okay, so 这是他讲的，这是他的 concept. Is it true? Some they believe in it, some they don't. 就好像我们的那个evolution 这样啦。OK， 到时你在 Year 9你会学一个叫 evolution， 就是进化。有些人相信，有些人不相信，有些人觉得是假的所以这个 Wagner 他就是讲 things they drift apart 咯。So geologists divide Earth time into era based on different rock layers. Okay, so 你看you might say, how do they know how old the Earth is? They just look at the most bottom layer. All right, they just look at the most bottom layer. How old is the fossil? Right? They just look at how old the Earth, because you see layer, first layer, second layer, layer by layer by layer by layer. So I just go to the, like I said, the most bottom layer is the oldest layer. They just need to know how old the oldest layer is, so they can roughly know how old Earth is. Okay, so this is what happens though. So the oldest time we know is, okay, we divide this into like three different eras. Okay, 3 different eras. The first one we call it Paleozoic. This is what we believe is the oldest age. Okay, you see, 400 something millions of years ago. That's around 4.5 million years ago lah. Roughly around that time. So 这是我们觉得最老. Okay, what does it mean by Meso? Sorry, Paleo. Paleo means old. You know Paleolithic, right? You learn this in history. 你历史有学到什么是 Paleolithic 吗？就是17时代。Okay, we stay in cave one Okay, we still use we still cannot speak one we use stone tools one 我们叫 Stone Age 啦。Okay, 那个就是 Paleo 咯。So 这是一个 era era is around a few million years old 所以他们讲每个 million 他们放一个 era 咯。So Cambrian, Ordovician 这些不用去背don't memorize please. Okay, it's just for fun I'm sure you recognize this. Okay, 你有看过什么是 Jurassic 吗 Okay, this is the most common era Okay, everyone is like, oh, dinosaur Okay, it's actually dinosaur existed you have to say you have to see which kind of dinosaur Okay, for example 那个叫什么Stegosaurus Okay, for example Stegosaurus Stegosaurus Okay, for example 你看Stegosaurus they existed around 155 to 145 million years ago. So Stegosaurus 100 something years ago that's around Jurassic era lah. But if you look at T-Rex okay, if you look at T-Rex so they are very different Okay, Tyrannosaurus Okay, Tyrannosaurus they existed when 68 to 66 million years ago. That means around here, you know. Okay, that means around here Cretaceous 的时候你知道吗that means Stegosaurus and T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus they existed in different era. 很多人就以为dinosaur they must be the same. No, they are not the same. Okay, Stegosaurus they long extinct before Tyrannosaurus came out. And funny story they say T-Rex is actually closer to human era than to Stegosaurus. 你懂我的意思就是 T-Rex 它离我们人类还要经过跟那个 Stegosaurus， 所以它离 Stegosaurus 还要远，因为它离 Stegosaurus around 100多年 around there 啦，100多年 million years but 它距离我们只有60 years 嘞。So 其实we are closer to T-Rex is closer to us than to Stegosaurus. Okay, so this is crazy. So 如果你去看那些 Jurassic Park movie they put Stegosaurus and T-Rex together, that is actually not true. Okay, 那是 false 的，因为 ，Stegosaurus 是在这里。OK，so 这个叫 Mesozoic era，this is the Mesozoic era。Mesozoic era is when reptile is the biggest animal in the world。OK，因为 Stegosaurus 是一个 reptile。T-Rex is a reptile. So this is the era where reptile is everywhere. Okay, and then what happened to them? There was a mass extinction. 有一个大灭绝、大灭亡，所以他们就死掉了。Okay, and then we enter another era called the Cenozoic era. We are still in the Cenozoic era. 我们现在还在这里。Okay, Cenozoic era. So 我们现在在 Quaternary 了。So this is the era when mammals took over. 我们哺乳类就出来了 ，OK， 我们哺乳类出来了 ，so 现在 reptile 就变小了，so 现在你看现在的 reptile 哦，现在的 reptile 都是小小的 ，OK， 你看你的那种这个什么壁虎啊，你的 lizard 你的 chameleon 全部都是小小个的 ，OK，there's only one big reptile around, that is your crocodile，OK，因为 crocodile 它 since like Cretaceous era 就在这里了，so crocodile 为什么这样大只？因为它是以前的 era 留下来的 ，they are still here. Okay, that's why they say crocodile survive a mass extinction. Okay, 那个大灭亡哦 ，crocodile survive 下来的，好像蟑螂这样啦，好像蟑螂这样啦。you have to know 哦，cockroach existed around here 嘞。Cockroach existed around here 嘞 ，after like 100 million years they are still here。你看，所以 cockroach 这么这样厉害，所以为什么我们叫 cockroach as 小强啦？ Because they're very strong. Okay, because after so many years, they're still around. Okay, they are not extinct, they can still survive. 所以就这样子咯。OK， 所以你这些 era 是不用去记的哈。That's why 这个 part 是没有 exercise。I just want to mention this for fun. Alright, anyway, so 什么是 fossil fossil 叫化石。OK， 化石。So when we how do we know there are so many eras here 我们就是去挖咯。Okay, like I said, 每个 layer of soil 都是一个 period。看，这是 period 吗？所以我们有很多个 layer of 泥土，每个泥土都是一个 period。so between 这些 period 中间就会有 something called fossil。what is a fossil? When you die, you leave behind bones, right? Bones and shells, right? so 当那些 bone 跟 shell 它们 harden 了它们变成石头了它就是 fossil 咯。so fossil 就可以更 confirm what existed back then. Alright, so how do they know? Like 他怎样知道这个 Cretaceous 为什么这里有 T-Rex 呢？ Because they found the T-Rex fossil in this layer 啦。你的 T-Rex 的 bone 在这里 ，T-Rex 的 fossil 在这里，然后 Stegosaurus fossil was here. So they existed in different layer. So they existed during different era. Okay, so if you were to go back and ask T-Rex, hey, do you know Stegosaurus? The T-Rex will say, no, I've not seen Stegosaurus before. Assuming they can talk lah. Okay, so anyway, fossils are formed by dead plants and animals. Okay, 你动物、植物死了就变成 fossil 咯。When a plant or an animal dies, it must be quickly covered by sediments, mud and sand. 记得什么是 sediment 哦 ？When stone they weather. Okay, 你的石头风化了就会变成 mud 跟 sand to stop scavengers from ripping them up. Okay, for example if this is a soil 这是泥土东西死了掉在泥土上面if they don't, if there's no soil to cover them quickly scavenger, what is scavenger? Scavenger is like, animals that eat dead bodies 啦，他们就会来把它吃掉了。So there will be no fossil. So fossils can only be formed when they are covered by sediments very quickly. Okay, so they're covered by sediments. After many years, the sediment form rocks and the bodies form fossil. So 它四周围的 mud 跟 sand 就会变成 rock, and then 那个 body 就会变 fossil there. Okay, then the minerals become rock in the shape of the organism. So 这个就是我的 fossil 咯，化石咯。So fossils can be formed by two different ways. 这个看看就好 not really important in exam. So petrification. Water containing minerals seep into the pores and cavity of the specimen. Minerals come out from the water and turns the tissue into rock. 就是水跑进去，水跑进去 or replacement. The tissue of the dead body are washed away, replaced by mineral. Okay, whatever. 这个 just read for fun. not really important. Okay, so 这个就是 fossil 啦。Have we discovered all fossils? No, we have not. Alright, there are still, you see, discovery is a very long-term thing. Okay, have we discovered everything? No. Alright, maybe we will discover new fossil a few more years later, or 50 more years later, or 100 more years later. Alright, because fossil is really hard to find. Okay, you don't see it every day. Okay, unless you go and dig something up. So fossils are used to determine the age of a layer of rock. Alright, so 如果你的 layer 有 fossil， 你就可以知道你的这个 layer 有几旧了咯。Because you can bring the fossil and do scientific method and see how old they are. Okay, 我们只有找到 fossil 才可以知道那个 layer 是几岁。Alright, so that this means that the organism live in just one time period. Okay, so sorry, some fossils were found in just one layer. This meant that organisms live in just one time period. Okay, what does it mean? That means let's say 我在 Cretaceous 找到 T-Rex if I find T-Rex here, I don't find T-Rex here, I don't find T-Rex here, that means T-Rex only existed here. Okay, same goes to the Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus existed here. Stegosaurus did not find Stegosaurus fossil in the Triassic. They did not find Stegosaurus fossil in the Cretaceous. So that means Stegosaurus, they only existed for one era. One period. Okay, one period. Now, one period is around 60, 70 million years. Okay, can you see how long this is? Hey, you put it in perspective. One period here is like 54 million years. You know how long 54 million years is? Okay, 54 million years is this long. 5400万年 You know how long is our human modern history? Our human civilization 人类文明历史才10千年12到13千 Let's just say 12 啦。Okay, you see? We are barely 1%, you know. Okay? 12,000 years is a very long time. You see, from Mesopotamia, Mesopotamia 是其中人类一个最古老的文明历史。Okay? From let's say ancient Egypt to now, it's around 12,000 years. Okay? For you, for us, 12,000 years is a very long time. But for a period, that's like barely a percent, like 0.0 something percent. Very short time. So this is why, like I said, stones for stones a million years is a very short time. You see, a million years is a very short time. All right. So anyway, so if a type of fossil is found in many parts of the world and are easy to recognize, they are very useful in indicating the age of rock layer. This type of rock is known as index fossil. Okay, certain fossil they are found everywhere. Okay, which makes their job really easy. So they just have to know. Okay, let's say there's a type of shell. Let's say 有一种 shell 它叫做 fossil A. Fossil A is found in many layers. So whenever you found that rock, you found that fossil, you know that layer is certain name. Okay, so we call it an index fossil. 这个东西你不用去记Okay, this whole chapter here is learning for fun one. So fossil can also help us work out how a rock is formed. Limestone contains fossil from sea animals and plants. So we know that limestone are formed under the sea. Alright, so 因为 OK 他怎样知道 limestone 是 under the sea 呢 Because they only found like sea animals and plants inside there. Alright, so whenever you see limestone, you know this thing used to be an ocean. So that's why I say, okay, that's why I say Malaysia is full of limestone. Okay, just in case you don't know, Malaysia is full of limestone. Alright, have you been to Ipoh before? Have you been to Ipoh before? Do you know Ipoh is full of limestone? When you pass by Ipoh, all that mountains, those are all limestones. Okay, let me show you. Ipoh limestone. Okay, yeah, Ipoh limestone here. Are there? When you pass by Ipoh, all these, they are limestones, you know. Okay, and since we said just now, limestone forms in ocean, limestone 是在海水里面 form 的嘛 That means this thing used to be underwater. 以前整个 Malaysia 是 underwater 的 It's under the ocean. Okay, so how do they know? Because they find limestone here. You imagine this thing is very tall, right? Very high, right? Like few hundred meters high, right? That means water used to be that high. Sea used to be that high. All right. If you have been to Batu Cave before, if you have been to Batu Cave, Batu Cave is a limestone also. Okay, Batu Cave. This is Batu Cave lah. That means ocean used to be that high also. 以前的海水就是这样高咯。OK， sorry 哈，我的 screen 有 stop 住了。Why are they showing me Batu Fringi? Okay, I've not been to Batu Fringi in a very long time. Okay, anyway, so let us move on, shall we? Oh wait, hang on, my screen is stuck. I think my internet here is not very smooth today. Hang on, let me restart this. Okay, the Wi-Fi is not very good today, so give me a moment. Let me reconnect this. Oh my god, it's really slow. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this is the Batu Cave lah. Okay, have you been to Batu Cave before? Okay, have you seen this before? The many color staircase lah. So Batu Cave is a lime cave. 它是一个 limestone. So ocean used to be the sea level used to be that high. 以前整个 Malaysia 是 underwater 的 ，is under the sea. Okay, I see a limestone. 整个都是 limestone 来的。Alright, so that's why Malaysia is surrounded by ocean 啦。中国 Malaysia 全部是海边啦。Why is it ocean everywhere 啦 ？Because we used to be under ocean. Alright. So anyway, so coal sometimes contain fossil of plants that look like ferns. So we know that coal was not formed under the sea. Coal was formed when trees and other plants formed into swamp millions of years ago. 什么是 coal？ coal 是煤炭。Okay, coal 是煤炭。See, I can show you that. This is your coal. We don't really use this in Malaysia, but in countries like China, they will burn coal as their energy. Okay, they will burn coal as their energy. 这个叫煤炭。有时sometimes in coal you will find fossil. Okay, are there? You see? Sometimes in a piece of coal, you will see ferns there. So from this we know because fern 蕨you know 鸟窝蕨so fern you see fern on land. Fern 是一个陆地植物 so we know that coal is from land. Okay, that's how they know. Alright, so anyway, so fossil records, so this is how we piece everything together. Okay, you see, geology like this, it's like playing with a puzzle. You're playing with a puzzle. You don't know which. Last time we didn't know that which era is where, which era is where. So it's just like discovering pieces of puzzle, and then you put them together. 你不觉得很像拼图咩？以前这整个 timeline 我们不知道 we didn't know how long the Earth it was, alright, and we didn't know life existed when. 全部都是拼图这样拼下去的。Okay, so all the fossils in the different rocks make up the fossil record. Okay, so 这个就是整个 fossil 咯。We can see when species first appear, when species disappear, and how species change over time. Okay, so over the years, 你看origin of life, 他们是讲 around 4 billion years ago. Around 4 billion years ago, life starts to form. Okay, and that time, life was only very simple, like one cell. 以前的 life 全部是一个 cell 来的 so bacteria was the earliest form of life. Bacteria 是最早的生物。Okay, so bacteria 的祖先是很久了的and then they will start to change into protozoa. Then protozoa start to change into plant. Plants start to change into animals like jellyfish, and then they start to branch out. Okay, only 500 million years ago, million 5亿年前5亿年前才开始有这些动物了，你知道吗？5亿年之前全部是 plant 来的。 OK， so 50亿年前哦，OK， 50亿年前就是我们 Earth 开始的时候啦。Okay, so that's a really crazy time to think about. Okay, that's really long ago. Okay, so the fossils found in particular layer can be used to find out about the condition of Earth at that time. Okay, so 我们就大概知道那个时候咯，好像他们讲 during Jurassic era 哦，during Jurassic era, Earth has more oxygen. The atmosphere has more oxygen. Do you know that? Okay, 他们讲那个是 OK。现在我们的 Earth our atmosphere now is around 21% oxygen, around 21%. During that time is around 30%. You have 9 more percent oxygen. So you're like, okay, so 9 more percent only. What's the big deal? More oxygen, that means you grow better. You grow more. 因为更多 oxygen 就更多 respiration. That means you grow better. So that means this is how reptiles like T-Rex how they can grow so tall. That's the reason. Because there's a lot of oxygen. 越多 oxygen 你就长越大个。所以以前为什么一个 T-Rex 可以长这样高啦？你知道以前they used to think spider used to be this big. Can you imagine the spider that is this small right now okay, around this small it used to be this big because there's a lot of oxygen. They can breathe more, they can grow more. Crazy. So if you were to take time machine and go back to Jurassic Park to Jurassic era, you will see insect the same size as you. Imagine a cockroach of your size. I would freak out. Okay, maybe not your size, but half your size. Enough to make me freak out, okay? So just be glad that we are not living in that era. Okay, anyway, so a change in any feature may occur in one individual in a species, then be passed on through the generations. The individuals with the new feature may eventually form new species. Okay, so we evolve. So the process is called evolution. 这个就是进化咯，这个就是进化咯。So we evolve from monkeys. Monkeys evolve from reptiles. Reptiles evolve from fish. Now you see, this is the evolution. Of course, this takes a really, really long time. OK， 这是一个很久的过程来的。OK， so anyway so this chapter please just read for fun OK， 读爽就好不要去记not really important. Even if it is， 他们最多是在问你 objective 罢了 ABC 罢了，所以你 just tembak 咯。OK， please don't read this chapter. Not really important. Okay, doesn't mean they don't come out but it's very rare Okay, anyway, so let us move on to our August notes, which is your chapter 9. Okay, we should start this like last week, but we couldn't have the time to finish our exercise So let's go to our chapter 9. Have you received your chapter 9 notes? Your August note? Have you received your August notes? It should be with you like last 2 weeks. Oh, you have received. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so anyway, let's go to our chapter 9. Okay, oh, sorry. Let's go to our year 7, chapter 9. Okay, so this is our physics chapter already. Okay, we have around 15 minutes left. So let us begin with this. Okay. Anyway, from chapter 9 onwards, chapter 9, 10, 11, and 12, I think. We have 4 more chapters remaining. So this is your physics chapter. Okay, this is your physics chapter. Okay, first of all, let me tell you this. Physics is very boring. Especially for girls. 对你们女孩子来讲这个 physics part 是 super boring 的。I don't blame you because usually that's the trend Okay, after so many years of teaching I noticed something girls, y'all really hate this physics part Is your school in here already? Is your school in here already? So if you have learned this in school this is really boring. Okay, this is not like your biology part Biology part, when you learn all the cells the human body parts very interesting one. But when it comes to physics all these force thing and then there's a lot of calculation one. Okay, but you haven't learned calculation just yet. Okay, you will learn calculation in the next few chapters. All right. So first of all, let's look at what is force and motion. 什么是 force and motion? Force 就是力。Okay, force. When you punch a wall, okay, when you push something or when you pull something, that's a force. All right. What is motion? Motion is movement. Okay, 动力行动就是 motion. When you are walking, when you are running, when something is moving, that is called motion. So force will cause motion. All right. So you cannot see a force, but you can see what it does and feel the effect on your body. So when I punch you, when I push you, you don't see the force, but you can feel the push. Okay. So a force is a push or a pull. When you push something, that's a force. When you pull something, that's a force too. Okay. So really easy. So effects of a force. Force have 5 effects. Okay, a force has 5 effects. So number 1, a force can move a stationary object. 它可以把一个不动的东西动掉咯。Stationary means not moving. Okay, 好，就是不动的意思。So if something is not moving, they are stationary. Okay, so they can move a stationary object. Or the opposite, they can stop a moving object. You see, this is opposite. Okay, so let's say a ball is not moving, force can move it. Force 可以弄那个球 move. And then if a ball is moving, they can stop a ball. So that's your force. And then change the speed. They change the speed. They can make the object move faster or they can make it move slower. All right, they can also change the direction. They can also change the shape and size. Okay, so they change speed, change direction, change shape and size. Okay, 改变速度，改变方向，改变形状或者是 size 大小。Okay, so 5 effects, 5 effects, So how do we measure a force? A force is measured using a spring balance. You know what is a spring balance? 那个叫做弹簧秤。Do I have a spring balance here? No, I don't. Okay, let me show you what's a spring balance. I think in primary school you have already used this before. Okay, your spring balance. This is the thing. 叫做弹簧秤。This thing. This is a spring balance. So when you pull something, then you can use your spring balance to find out what is the force. Okay, so and then the SI unit for force is Newton. Why? You might say, sir, isn't Newton the guy who found gravity? Yes, he is. Okay, Newton 知道哦，他找到地心引力的。Because Newton, he found gravity, right? He found gravity, right? Gravity causes something called weight, right? Okay, weight 就是重量。Weight is a force. Okay, weight is a force. 重量是一种 force. 重量是一种 force，不是 mass 不要搞错Weight is not mass Mass is your 质量。That means how many kg you are. But weight is how many Newton you are. That depends on the gravity. Alright, so this is why weight is a force. So we just use Newton as the unit. Okay, for your force. Alright, so there are 2 main types of force. Alright, really easy stuff here. So 有2种力2种力 we call it contact force and non-contact force. 有接触的力和没有接触的力。So what is contact? When I touch you, that's a contact lah. Okay, when you touch a wall, okay, when there's a contact 有接触到的就是 contact force 咯。没有接触到的就是 non-contact force. Okay, so you might be thinking, non-contact can have force on it. For example, your magnet. Okay, magnet. You see, magnet, they don't really need to touch. They can produce force one. Okay, let's say you use north and north of a magnet. Magnet 的北边跟北边so you put them together, you can feel a pushing, right? They are not touching together, but they are pushing each other. That is your non-contact force. All right, so we shall look at one by one. Okay, see if we can go. You see, this chapter is really easy. 3 pages only. I can finish this in one day, man. Okay, so anyway, so your types of forces are okay. So you have 2 there. Contact force. occur when objects touch each other 啊，当有动到有 in contact 这是 contact force 咯。And then non-contact forces occur when objects do not touch each other. So 没有 contact 就是 non-contact force. Okay, so 你的车去撞另外一辆车 that's a contact force. Okay, if you use a trolley, let's say you're shopping, your trolley going to bang another trolley, that's a contact force. So you have all these types of contact forces here, really easy. So number one, you have your impact force. 啊，什么是 impact? Impact 就是撞击。撞是这个撞字嘛 ？OK， 撞击啊，撞击力咯。OK，impact force. When you bang something, that is called your impact force. That's why when it comes to accidents, when it comes to accident, okay, for example, airbag. You know what's an airbag, right? When you crash your car, the airbag will come out. What's the function of the airbag? The function of the airbag is to reduce impact, 减低撞击力, because it is the impact that kills you. All right? Why accident can kill people? Because of the impact. If the impact is too high, then you die. All right? So impact is when things they crash together. When a moving object collides with a stationary object. Okay, if something is not moving, the moving thing crashes into it. So that's an impact. 这个就是撞击力. So for example, hammer hitting a nail. The hammer is moving. The nail is not moving. So a moving stuff crash into a non-moving stuff. That's your impact force. Okay, so 比如说你现在站在路边，我拿车去撞你，就是 impact force 咯。Okay, easy so that's your impact force. Next, strain force. Strain force 叫拉力。Okay, the pulling force 拉力, or we call it elastic force. There's two ways to say this. Some call it strain force, some call it elastic force. Depends on who you ask lah. Because different books they write different things. Some books they say strain force, some books they say elastic force. All right, so happens only in elastic object. What is elastic? Elastic, okay, when an elastic object is deformed, a strain force is exerted. When strain forces are removed, 拉力拿掉the object would return to their original shape. Okay, elastic 就是弹性。Okay, elastic 就是弹性，你应该知道什么是弹性咯？弹性 means 它会 return to original shape, like your rubber band. Okay, so like your spring, when you remove your force, they will bounce back to normal. They will bounce back to normal. So that's what we call elastic. Okay, so elastic. This is your elastic force lah. That's what we call it, elastic force, or we call it strain force. Okay, strain 就是去拉东西. Okay, when you say you strain your muscle, right? Have you heard this before? When you strain your muscle, that means you pull your muscle too hard. Okay, there's a muscle strain. 你不小心拉伤你的 muscle 就是 muscle strain 咯. Okay, so when a string is pulled on both ends, strain force 咯. In this case, we also 就是那个绳子有 tension tension 就是张紧力. Okay, when a string is pulled very tightly, that's called a tension. Okay, do you learn violin or do you play guitar? Guitar string has tension Okay, it has tension. So the higher the tension, the higher pitch you produce. 那绳子越紧就越高音咯. So that's the tension. Alright, so this is your strain force. Okay, 我们叫拉力. Alright, so next, friction. Okay, this is, I think, the most common one you learn in primary school. Okay, 你小学应该有学什么是摩擦力吧? This is like one of the most common force that everyone knows. When two surfaces are in contact, when surface you contact, as long as they contact, you will have friction. Okay, I'm holding a cup. There's a contact between my finger and the cup. So you see, contact, friction. Okay, 就有摩擦力咯。摩擦力就是这样来的。So friction always opposes a movement or a force. Friction 永远是跟你作对的，永远是跟你相反。Okay, they always oppose you. They always fight against you. So that is your friction. Right? So brakes apply friction on rotors. What is a rotor? Rotor is this thing. Okay, have you seen this thing before? Have you seen this thing before? This is your you go and look at your dad's car, you go to the front wheel, right? Usually it's the front wheel lah. Sometimes it's both wheels. Okay, you look at the front wheel, you squat down, you will see a tire, right? You see tire, right? You look inside the tire, you will see this thing. You will see this thing. Okay, so what is this? When your car is moving, this shiny plate, the shiny plate is called a rotor. The rotor will spin. This rotor will spin, and when you want to stop your car, you step on the brake. Inside here, there's a thing called the brake pad. 我们叫刹车片。你有骑脚车，你应该有看过了。Okay, when you press, when you're riding a bicycle, when you press on the brake will press on the wheel, and then the wheel will stop, right? Same thing here. When you step on the brake in your car, this plate, this brake pad, they will press on the rotor, press on this shiny plate here, so the friction will slow the car down. Okay, so can you see this is opposite direction? Your car is going forward, but your friction is acting backward. Friction will always fight you. Okay, you see, if I'm holding this cup wants to drop, right? The cup is having a force down. My finger and this cup has friction. The friction is stopping the cup from dropping down, so the friction is going up. 摩擦力向上. Okay, because the weight goes down, friction goes up. So it's the opposite. Okay, friction always fights you. All right, so if you are reversing your car, 你在 Ghostan, so the friction will go forward. So it's always opposite. Okay, so the last one, I think this is the last one. Last one of your contact force. This is your air resistance. What is air resistance? This is called 风的阻力. Okay, this is called 这个叫风的阻力. So air resistance. When you're moving through air, this is almost like friction. This is almost like friction, but friction is on solid ground. Okay, your road is solid ground, but friction, air resistance. Okay, just think of it this way. This is friction with air. When you're riding bicycle, you can feel the air brush through your face, right? That's the air resistance. Or sometimes we just call it drag. Okay, we just call it drag. So when object moves through air, air produces a resistive force in the opposite direction. So these two, they are the same. Okay, or sometimes they just call it air friction lah. Same thing, air resistance, 风的阻力，就是这样。Okay, anyway, you know what? I think I'm going to stop here today. Next week, week 4, we shall finish this chapter, and maybe we will move on to chapter 10, chapter 9. Okay, so anyway, really easy stuff. I hope you can understand. All right, so I wish you have a happy Monday. I will see you the next week. All right, so take care. See you. Good night, and bye-bye.